Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lyds, and we're back for some more Thronebreaker, and last time we successfully helped some people out over here who had their supplies stolen by the Nilfgaardians. However, we are now getting pretty close, that means, to what I would assume is the final main quest update in this area. So we have this section over here where we know of at least one point of interest. I imagine there's probably a fair number more than that, though, once we start getting over there. There are still a couple of encounters, though, that we have tried and not yet succeeded at back over here. We had discussed how we might optimize our deck a little bit more for this one, where we have our opponents bringing back cards to life if we destroy them, and we were using a pretty damage-centric deck at the time, and so that seemed like we were not exactly doing that in the most effective way. So I'm thinking perhaps we give this one a shot here, and not necessarily sure if we do manage to succeed there. We might head straight back down here, or we might proceed a little bit further in this direction. I was kind of hoping that we would just get one more good card to our deck from completing some kind of encounter, and that might help make one of these, or two of these encounters, a fair bit easier for us to succeed at. But, well, we may just need to go with the tools at hand. We have acquired quite a bit in the way of resources here. In case it hasn't been clear, yes, in some ways, I have made it a challenge for myself to see how far we can go without without purchasing any upgrades for our deck, at least when it comes to cards. Obviously, we've done the sort of meta upgrades of sorts, making it so we get more resources, have a better resource cap, or recruit cap, but haven't actually purchased any additional cards, so I'm curious to see how far we can push ourselves without having done that. I think we spoke to this guy last time, but just in case, it's important to do so.
Corpses and ash far as the eye can see.
So, I would love if we could finish all of Edirn without having to purchase or craft any new cards. It's totally a made up thing that I have just concocted over the course of our entire stay here in Edirn, but it would be awesome if we could make that work. And then it just means once we do finally get out of Edirn, perhaps we start to go on a crazy spending splurge. So at the moment we are on low morale, so that is theoretically going to make this encounter a fair bit more difficult. However, I mean, I'm thinking what we do here. We modify our deck, see if that works on low morale, and then if it doesn't, we have this shrine over here that can get us up to neutral, and then if that doesn't work, then we also, I believe, still have, a shrine back here that could get us up to positive morale. I'd kind of like to save at least one shrine so that if we need a boost going into this encounter, we have a way to give ourselves such of a boost. So that's why I'm, again, being a little stingy here, just to see if it may not be necessary after just making some adjustments, which we've not yet done. So let's go and do that here. We know what to expect. We have certainly tried this before. So let's see. Let's head over the command tent. And basically, the goal here is take out as many sources of damage as we possibly can, because if we destroy one of our opponent's cards, then that card's gonna go back into their hand, they're gonna be able to replay it, and that means that they're probably going to get quote-unquote last say, potentially numerous rounds of last say, which maybe isn't as big of a deal when we're talking about going against a CPU compared to going against another player in multiplayer Gwent, but still something we'd rather not allow them to do. So I think we did not have Martyr Bear previously, or at least we were not using it, I should say, at the time, and this was one modification that we were thinking would be quite helpful, because this was previously, I think, one of them at least, was Becker's Dark Mirror, which had caused us quite a few problems, and then also Mandrake, we might have been using that at one point. Probably might have been using one of the damaging trinkets as well, though. Don't think we did that. We were definitely using Scepter of Storms, which also made matters at least more complicated think we occasionally did kill some units with this, which was not ideal, of course. So, hold on. Do you have reason to use decoy? I mean, maybe if we got super lucky, and we could replay something like, you know, Rayla or Xavier to give Rayla more charges, something like that, but otherwise I don't really think so. Yeah, I think this is probably the combo we're looking for there. The Manticore Trophy does little pings of damage, but shouldn't be enough, at least certainly not by itself, to actually destroy anything. Problem becomes, did we make other switches to our deck? Because, yeah, we wanted to get rid of some cavalry, maybe, some slingers, maybe. Basically, just get rid of as much damage as we could get rid of, because it seemed like, in theory, if we didn't destroy any of their units, we would have way more points than they would have. But I think in our best case scenario, we destroyed at least one, if not two, of their cards, and that made it so that they were able to pass us, and it was still relatively close, but they were able to pass us. Then on the bad ones, we destroyed numerous of their units, and then it wasn't close. So that's why, if we can find ways, like for example with the Strays Bomber, makes me a little nervous, because, I mean, we could just play this near the end of the round, I guess. Just deliberately play it suboptimally, but of course that, in this case, that actually does mean we're playing it optimally. Still a bad card in this encounter. I mean, of course, if you can get some damage and weaken a unit without actually having it get destroyed, then that is, I hesitate to say ideal, but it works. Boosting our own units is definitely much safer, but the Lyrian Scytheman is not a perfect answer because also they have a bunch of cards that get boosted or do other effects when we use our leader ability, and that's the way that the Lyrian Scytheman gets boosted in the first place. So, yeah, it's not exactly the ideal way to make this happen. So yeah, basically what we'll do, we'll try this with what I guess is a modified deck here, because we put in the Alchemist, which I don't think we had before, and this doesn't do damage. So that's at least one somewhat significant thing that we've changed. The big things, though, I think are going to be switching into the Manticore Trophy and using these two trinkets here. Keepsakes? Trinkets? Oh, no. Oh, that's the thing for me back when I was playing Hades, where I always mix the terminology up for specifically that thing. But anyways, so we'll try it with this, and then if it doesn't work, we have options. We can go to the shrine and pray and get on neutral morale. We can go to the other shrine and pray at that as well and be on high morale. I'd rather not use both of them. Or, yes, we could craft additional cards, but I don't want to have to resort to that. I think we can make it happen. It might take a little bit of patience. Might take a couple of attempts here. Might take 3 attempts. Might take 4 attempts. I don't know. We're going to make it happen.
The scouts reported the bandits who attacked the village that night now occupied a fort the Adernians had hastily abandoned during their retreat.
They'll have crossbows, arbalists, ballistae. The bandits are armed to the teeth.
Yeah, and then they were trying to make it sound like this location was of zero strategic importance, and to which I say, no way. I mean, the Lyrians have been, or rather the Adernians have been completely overrun by the Nilfgaardians, and you're trying to tell me that a fortified location is of no strategic importance? Any fortified location would be of strategic importance to the Adernians at this stage. Doesn't matter where it is, as long as it's in Aedirn, and it gives them a place to try to defend themselves against the Nilfgaardians, it's worthwhile to try to take that place back.
What's more, according to the local folk, they had a witch among them. In light of these reports, Meve's advisors debated whether it was worth risking a fight with the brigands.
Let's call it as it is.
Gascon said.
The game's not worth the candle.
Game?
Rayla said, struggling to swallow her anger.
They slaughtered an entire village. We cannot let them get away.
Yeah, so the suspicion was that this witch is performing some kind of foul necromancy, and that's the way that they're basically resurrecting their people. Fight back at us. So yeah, we're attacking this thing.
The stage seemed set for a long debate when Meve pounded her fist on the table.
I am a queen, for God's sakes. I shall not cower before common rogues, even if the entire conclave of mages stands with them. Reynard, have the men prepare their arms.
Reynard saluted and left the tent. If one had seen him then, he would have sworn the grizzled soldier smiled to himself, beaming with pride in his ruler.
Reynard approves. I thought it said somewhere that it was of little strategic importance. Her countenance grim, Meve peered at the fort's walls. The siege of this fortress was of no strategic importance. Yes, that's exactly what it says. I strongly disagree. The fact that it is a fortress in Edirne when every other fortress has been burned to the ground or completely taken over by the Nilfgaardians inherently means that by definition it is of strategic importance. Indeed, some might call it a wholly unnecessary risk, but not Meve. Rather than drive off the invaders, these brigands took advantage of the confusion to murder and steal from their compatriots. The queen refused to sit idly in the face of such depravity. Also, the fact that it's trying to give off this sign like, you don't need to do this, don't worry about it, totally means that it has the best reward. It's gotta be. It's gotta be. It's totally worth it. So, special rules. Shortened battle as well, just one round. What are the special rules? That I may not remember. We'll have to see. All I remember was the whole resurrecting thing. Maybe that's part of it. And I think the hint was basically saying, as we saw previously when we had this encounter, don't just destroy everything that you see, because that's probably not the answer. And as we were saying before, we don't want to maximize our damage. We, in many ways, want to find value wherever we can that comes from things other than damage. So all these slingers, not a huge fan of those. The Stray's Bomber, definitely not a big fan of that. I think we probably swap you out. Infiltrator could be possibly one of our best cards. I think we did have some success with this last time. So I do like that. Then I think Slingers come next, or potentially even Cavalry. And we could get clever with the Cavalry and play it relatively late and try to time it such that we deal just enough damage to weaken a unit down to 1 or 2 power, and that way we're weakening them but not actually destroying any units. So maybe we keep this and prioritize getting rid of the Slingers. But don't want Bombers though. Rayla plus Xavier. That is perhaps our strongest combo. It is definitely our strongest combo that we've seen before. It is perhaps the thing that could be a difference maker here. Maybe enough so for us to win this encounter just with this alone. But, I mean, it means we're going to play a whole bunch of extra cards from our deck. Problem is, most of our cards from our deck deal damage, and that's what we're not trying to do. So, it still might not be perfect, but I do like it, in theory. Scythemen. If we play them early and use our leader ability immediately, then we can get the boost off, and then hopefully we do that before they have enough cards on the board that get boosted or do other effects when we use our leader ability, because eventually it's going to get to the point where it's just not even worth using our leader ability at all. At least that's what we seem to have found last time. I think we can still try to get rid of one of you. I think the Cavalry might be slightly better, because it gives us a little more precise control. And then I think the last one is a matter of, do you switch Scytheman or do you switch Slinger? I think a first turn Scytheman is not the end of the world. And then a Slinger anyway.
Flashes of light inside the fort.
Okay, so we know what to expect. They go first.
Surrender while you can!
So, this unit's power drops more or less move back into your deck. I think we established that that is something we want to do to this card. It just... right? Yeah, because that's pretty much the only card that you can, quote-unquote, or you can get rid of. Because everything else will get destroyed when it gets down to 0 power, and so it'll get resurrected, whereas this one just disappears when it gets to 4. So this one is actually okay to put a Slinger on, or rather a Cavalry on, I would think. That might be the ideal target. And I know I was just saying, maybe you still go Scytheman and leader ability first, just so we get this guy down and get some value out of him, whereas missing one Turner Stray's Cavalry is maybe not the worst thing in the world, especially because I think we also recently determined that, yes, you can double mark a card with 2 Cavalry, and it will deal 2 damage per turn. However many cards have marked that card, they will all deal damage to whatever unit is marked, even if you double or triple down on it. So, yeah, I think it's... where'd you go? You first.
There's a time to reap, a time to sow.
Hit you. That gives you a boost. At least you're a 9. which otherwise would have been really hard to get any value out of you. And I think they're going to now start playing those cards that, yeah, whenever enemy leader ability is used, repeat the deploy ability, which is boost adjacent units. So yeah, that's going to make it a little bit tougher to take this guy out, but I think this is where we start doing Stray's Cavalry. We might even... How many cavalry do we have in our deck? One... Just one more? Just one more. So I know that was one of the cards we were thinking about getting rid of when we were optimizing our deck for this event, this encounter, but it seems like there's at least one target to go after. So we might have this be who we get out with Rayla / Xavier, wherever you went. Xavier. So yeah, I think, well, first we can go straight for this. We are going to want to try to keep at least one unit pretty big, because we want to make sure we have a way to highly boost our Stray's Infiltrator. But now, I think we test this theory that we, well, in theory, did test before, but that's just what I was talking about. You mark the same enemy twice, which I think we determined means that this guy's still going to get damaged twice. And now that they have two of these guys down here, means that our leader ability is no longer a good thing for us to do. They're getting more value out of it than we are.
We must find a gap in the fortifications.
It does work. Double damage on this guy. So we would love if they played another one of these guys to give us another marked target, because this guy is going to get destroyed before the end of this encounter, so that means the mark is going to move. I guess at that point they're going to have units that are big enough that it's not like they're going to get destroyed by the mark. Because I think they're going to each go to a random enemy, and that's going to roll individually, so it's not like we load up on even more marks all on this guy. It's not as if every single mark is going to move onto the same enemy, so this Eternian Cavalry is going to get hit for 3 damage per turn. No, they're probably more likely, much more likely, to all split amongst what is going to become a larger number of units, and that way we're less at risk of accidentally destroying a different unit. So, let's see. Now, it might even be time to go Rayla and Xavier. Right? It might be. So, like I said, this is a time where perhaps it would have been good if we had additional Stray's Cavalry, which would be an adjustment we could make. Ooh, that gets Knickers out as well, and he can consume a card from our hand randomly. And if he is to do that, the most beneficial one, I think, would be the Stray's Slinger, because we are not big fans of the damage here unless we're really careful with how we apply that. I think when we were... Oh, which one did he eat? One of our keepsakes? One of our good ones, was it not? Remind me what this guy does. Damage a random enemy unit by 2, repeat this ability when enemy's loyal ability triggers. So yeah, all these cards get extra effects whenever we use our loyal ability, so we are not going to use that anymore. But, which one was it? It was Mandrake. That's pretty solid. How much of a boost did it give Knickers? I think Knickers started as a 4, so it gave 20. Might still be worth it. I mean, boosts are good, but as I said, Stray's Slinger was probably a card that we would have most liked for Knickers to consume. And so now we have the ability to use Rayla here. And I think what we do is we use her. Gascon could also be solid. That could make the Stray's Slinger a little more of a reasonable play. Or the Alchemist, depending on the timing of that. Reynard to reset all that stuff, but that's sort of a meta choice. It still means we're going to have to pick other cards out from our deck. So, yeah, first choice, I think, is going to still be you to maximize the time. Maximize the time that we are dealing the damage. I am a little concerned. Oh, right, that's just an order ability. That's not our actual play on this turn. I'm a little bit concerned that that is going to load up on so much damage on this guy that those marks are going to get pushed to other people, and that means that we might actually be at risk of destroying something. I don't know. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. So then, I think we go get Gascon, get Reynard. Reynard will allow us to use another order, which we might use to get another Slinger so that we can move more cards to power up Gascon, or it might be preferable at that stage to either go for another Infiltrator or another Alchemist. But we may not need to make all of those choices just yet. Let's go. This one here is going to be... This we could do Reynard right now. Let's do another one first, though. Wait. I think we want to wait on the Infiltrators. We might need to choose if we want Gascon or not. It's a 7, boost by 1, or strengthened by 1. Every time a card gets moved, we have 3 movement with the Slinger. That's going to make him into a 10. Whereas Infiltrators next to a 13 are already going to be bigger than that. I mean, we could get a little more movement with more Slingers, so it's hard to say. I think we do try Gascon. We might have enough charges with Rayla to do all of the above. It might not matter. So now we definitely, though, want to make sure that this one's Reynard.
Company, forward march!
Because then that gives charges to both Xavier and Rayla. This is the big combo. Our best combo. One that we were hoping we might get. So now this is where we need to be a little more mindful of, do you stick with the Slingers to support Gascon, or do you go Infiltrator, which is still probably a little bit too early because we would presumably still find they're going to get some bigger cards here? Yeah, we might not want to use this charge as quickly as we did. Yes, we will go Infiltrator because Alchemist is a way to basically double down on the power from one of the Infiltrators. Yes, however, we don't have any Infiltrators on the board yet. So I think it's this. And as I said,
got a job to do.
Ideally would have waited a little bit longer, so we won't use this charge just yet. We'll wait a little bit longer to see if they get any bigger cards than just their 13. Still decent value. Still decent value for sure. And they do have enough damage that they destroyed one of our cavalry, which will slow down the damage on this infantry deserters. We actually... Hold on. Is it reason enough to use our leader ability if this Strays Infiltrator is going to get double boosted? We're going to get... Hold on. Now the math gets tough. So that means you'd go up by 6. You'd go up by 3. How many... Yeah, maybe. Start with how much they're getting boosted. 3, 6, 9. We're getting 6. Then they also get, what do we say? They had 9, 11, 13. So still, they're getting 13 value. We're getting 6. If you include the damage from leader ability, we can get 6 plus 8. It's 4 damage on cards that have the same amount of power here. So what, 14 versus 13? It actually is slightly better for us than it is for them, especially if we first use a Slinger to move you so there is not anyone on the right side of this Edirnian cavalry. I think we do that. Hold on. What is the ideal group of people to move then? Is it actually you first? You first. Might still need to put you here. Might need to move you as well. And then move you. So I'm trying to minimize the number of adjacent units. Number of units that are adjacent to the Eternian Cavalry. That's what I'm trying to minimize. So that means trying to put either Eternian Cavalry on the... basically put them on the end of a row. It's pretty much the idea. And so, you know, get this guy out from next to this Eternian Cavalry, but we'll probably need to move this. Bandit, Archer. Maybe we just wait a turn, even though we do have this available to us. Also, we'd kind of like to not hit these Eternian Cavalry yet, at least. That is a way that we would boost these guys up to power up the Infiltrator. This is where it's like there are so many levels to this. It's like there's the value from direct damage, there's the value from their boost, there's the value from the Infiltrator that gets boosted from their boost, they also get boosted from their boost, and how does it all add up? And that's where it gets a little tricky. This is boost by the power of the unit to the right. So this is one that really matters, but if we're attacking this one, we're attacking this one. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. It's a little tough. It is a little tough. I feel like we might need to wait one more turn, just so we have more units that we actually do want to move. Although, I'm not entirely sure which cards we want to transform with Martyr and Bear. We'd ideally wait a little bit on that. Again, we'd probably prefer to wait on the Infiltrator. The Alchemist, well... Alchemist on Reynard's not bad. Alchemist on Reynard is not bad. Or even... maybe you do go Slinger here. And then you move... what? This guy... and he is on the end, which is nice. Guess you do like this, this, this. Not really sure that's any better. Do we... oh no, the card we destroyed was the one that goes down if it has 4 power. Okay, so that's fine. That's fine. I was going to say, did we accidentally destroy a unit that we did not mean to destroy? No, that's the one that we were fine with moving that. We were fine with moving that. So, now, I think we leave it as is, unless we do want to try to boost Stray's Infiltrator here. It was kind of the whole point of doing that. That was kind of the whole point. So, maybe we do deliberately try not to hit something big. Again, these would be the ideal targets from a damage standpoint, because we don't destroy them, but those are also the cards that are going to determine how big this Infiltrator is, which is why this is so complex. So, if we hit you, you're going to get dropped down to a 4, which, depending on where the damage from the cavalry goes, that may or may not be okay. It's not currently clear. I think we take that risk, though. It's a bold strategy. The reason we did it was because, although we get hit... ooh, wish that card did not get destroyed. Although we do get hit, it also increases the points on this Stray's Infiltrator, which is about to come back to our side. So that is hopefully something that's going to pay off. And even that counts as movement for Gascon.
Can't take it anymore.
Okay. So now, we want to make sure we have enough time for this Infiltrator as well, I think. We probably do go that route. Although we would also kind of like to convert this. Our marks didn't move? Oh, because the card in question moved back into their deck and did not technically get destroyed? So I guess that means it technically didn't meet the whole criteria for when the market unit is destroyed. Mark another random enemy unit. It's actually kind of a good thing, so we were concerned about accidentally destroying other units. So that helps. That actually does help. Then... do we... yes, that means you're not providing any value here. It's after 2 turns? I think we still go for this. Same spots.
Shh, cock it.
Oh, and right, we're gonna need to go with Rayla doing the same thing for another Infiltrator? No, we already did go that route. That means we could use Rayla to play an alchemist from our deck to make Reynard stronger. I think we do that. I think we do that. We go... Hold on. Since we messed this up previously, set a unit's power equal to the unit on its left. So yeah, we use it on Reynard.
There's been a mistake.
Because that gives him 17 additional points. Oh! Okay, Knickers. Well, it would have been better if we'd waited. As it turns out, it would have been humongous if we waited. Things are looking a lot better right now. Oh man, imagine. So what I was hoping to do was basically... Oh, actually, I should put the alchemist... I should put the alchemist... Oh no, I can't. I can't put the alchemist there because it can't activate on itself, so we can't play the alchemist right here and get it boosted based on Knickers' number. No, that would have been amazing if we could. But it's going to have to be the alchemist... I guess making this alchemist stronger? Or... Yeah, it's going to have to be that, right? I think it's going to have to be that.
Greetings. What is
okay.
it?
We have a pretty huge margin here. Moving the Manticore trophy should give us one more point there. This Infiltrator should still move back from their side of the board to our side of the board. They have 2 cards left. But we have a nice lead here of over 100 points. So what is left?
Like a wolf, I am.
That's certainly not enough to make a difference, nor is that. Oh, man. So that encounter gave us a lot of trouble before, and I think it was just because we were kind of silly. We tried to get... Oh, we just didn't have a deck that was capable of minimizing damage. We got lucky with some of our combos there. Got the big Rayla plus Xavier combo.
Long and hard to take the fort. Meve could have sworn she saw bandits stalking its ramparts. Bandits who moments before had taken a bolt to the head. By all rights, a mortal wound.
What the devil is going on here?
Necromancy.
She took cover behind her shield.
Totally necromancy. But yeah, once we went with a minimizing the damage approach and got lucky with some of the cards. I mean, you saw it right there. Encounter, not nearly as difficult, although still very complicated. Trying to min-max our boosts and minimize the amount of damage we deal to them.
The secret was unraveled only after the battle's conclusion. Meve's soldiers dragged before her a grey-haired woman in colored robes. The aura radiating from her left no doubt. They had fought a sorceress.
I
figured. It was her healing spells that enabled the bandits to hold off their attack for so long.
What is your name, sorceress?
Okay. I suspected, what with the whole mention of a witch at the beginning, that was, of course, the kind of encounter we were really having here. Just throwing around the term necromancer a whole lot. Sounded like from that description that she was technically healing them, although I don't know if that's really the case here or not. Also, should I read into how her arm looks very disturbingly scarred, very reminiscent of some of those zombie-like appearances that you see sometimes? I mean, she's doing some foul dark magic on herself as well, and I'm pretty sure I recognize this person.
Ishbel of Tretago.
Yup. I wondered. I do not believe she's a character in the... Well, I don't know if she's in the books. I have not read the books myself. But definitely not in the games, I don't think. But she is a Thronebreaker card for Gwent multiplayer. So I figured we might encounter her somewhere here in Thronebreaker. And once we saw that there was, or at least heard, there was some kind of mysterious witch, I started to suspect that it might have been her. Don't know anything about her other than that she's a mage. And we did also, after having progressed a little bit further beyond this encounter, unlocked some vanities. I think a picture of her for Gwent multiplayer. I thought, surely that is not a coincidence, right? Little bit of a tease as to what we were going to discover after we did things in sort of a reverse order.
I take it you did not keep company with bandits willingly?
Not at all. They kidnapped me and forced me to aid them.
Okay.
First, I do not understand. As a woman fluent in the arcana of magic, you could have freed yourself with little effort.
Kind of with Reynard on this one. Surely you could have found a way out of that situation.
True, I could have. But I would have had to kill, and I swore never to use my talents to harm another.
Yeah, but like if you heal/resurrect people who are actively trying to kill other people, then, like, does that still count? You're one layer removed, but I'm not so sure you're all that innocent after helping these bandits murder other people.
Not even in self-defense.
Not even then.
Okay.
Then you live in truly unfortunate times. War rages all around. You cannot hide from it.
Meve is right.
So be it. Then I must entrust myself to the care of the gods.
Okay.
Or a passing queen.
Just theoretically speaking, not as if you happen to be encountering a passing queen right now. Oh, look at that, it's me.
You stand before Meve, by divine right, ruler of Lyria and Rivia. We seek the lord of these lands, Demavend.
Oh, forgive me for not recognizing you, your grace. You do not look like a ruler. More like a mercenary.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, watch your language. She's the queen. Second of all, I mean, yeah. Also, she's right. Nor do you look like a sorceress. That's kinda true. She sort of looks like a farmer or an herbalist of some variety. Doesn't have the classic long cloaked robes. Usually, you know, like dark black or something like the hood. Obscuring her features, being all secretive and what have you. No, it just looks like a random farmer or herbalist who, again, just has really weird scars on her arm. I assume those are scars. I don't know, the dirt? If so, that's a really strange pattern for dirt. Did she get run over by some kind of tractor? Some kind of plow? I don't know. Let's see. So, I know how I look. Nor do you think. Not sure if this is supposed to be like a... Maybe this is kind of accusing Isbel of not being all that trustworthy. Reading between the lines a little bit here. Yeah, I'm not... Some of the subtext here is lost on me. Because, yeah, obviously, we know that we do not currently look like a queen. Our crown and all of our fancy regalia is not here anymore.
True, I wear no crown. It was stolen from me along with my country. I strive to reclaim what was taken, and admit the help of a sorceress would prove useful.
Thank you.
This is true.
But you must know, an army is no place for me.
Yeah, but like, you were just supporting some bandits, even if you weren't necessarily taking part firsthand?
Should you wish it not, you needn't fight. We have many civilians among our ranks who...
help us in some very useful ways, I'm sure.
Who do their part in the slaughter. Indirect guilt is enough.
Okay, but see, that's exactly what I was just saying. That's exactly what you were doing. Fundamentally, the argument I was just making against you. Now you're just a hypocrite.
My soldiers do not slaughter. They fight.
Okay, important distinction, according to Meve.
Lofty words, but the result is the same. Piles of corpses.
Also true.
Well, a bandit I am not. I shall not force you. Reynard, prepare the men to march on.
Of course, but if I may, perhaps Xavier might have a look at the war machines we captured. He may find some parts of use.
Phew. And now I'm wondering, did we miss out on... Who'd we have gotten her to join us if we had said, you don't look like a sorceress either? Or, you don't look like a sorceress yourself. Again, just like, so little to go off with those descriptions. So simple, straightforward. Like, I could try to dive into what might be some subtext there, but it's serious speculation, like serious speculation as to what the implications of either of those statements would have been. So, if, truthfully, two very benign, inconspicuous statements that did not have much to go off, one means you don't get someone to join your team and help you out, one means you do, that I hope is not the way that this encounter is supposed to work, because if so, how are we supposed to know? Like, obviously, hindsight 2020, easy to say, well, Lids, obviously you're supposed to do it this way. Like, did you just see the two options? There's nothing to go up. So I hope that we didn't miss out by choosing that option.
Meve followed Reynard's suggestion. Xavier went to work.
Yes, Your Grace.
Or perhaps she sees him and is like, wait, I can help heal him. Maybe I do have a job. Maybe I can help you.
Gods, what happened to him?
Yes, now we reel her in. Exactly.
He was in Rosberg when the Stronghold fell. Nearly burned alive.
See, this is what the Nilfgaardians are doing. Compared to us, we are totally wholesome. We have values. We're noble. We're all those good things. Yeah, we're the good guys. Nilfgaardians are clearly the bad guys, so you should totally side with us, not the Nilfgaardians. That's why you should help us.
How are you healing him?
With you? Eh?
The medics recommended regular poultices of dog's tallow, but whether they've any effect...
Of course they've no effect. For such wounds. How he must suffer.
Oh man, if only he had someone who was able to help heal him more effectively. Ugh. Too bad there isn't, say, I don't know, sorceress around here to help us.
In the day he reveals nothing, but at night one awakes to hear him sob with pain.
Ooh. That's painful. Painful to hear. That's the fate he's faced with. Tries to hide it from everyone, but he's got to let it out at some point.
You see, I need healers.
Come on, Isbel. You know you could help us.
I shall go with you.
Yes.
But never shall I use magic to take a life. Do
Fine.
I make myself clear?
Fine. Totally fine. I've changed my mind. No. I consent to your conditions. I don't know to what extent we might at some point have the option to test that and maybe try to request that she provide us with some magical assistance of the more lethal variety. But it might be one of those situations where, as we've seen before with some of our other teammates, if we do some things that displease them, then they may abandon us. So let's try to make a mental note of this. Make sure that Isbel is doing the kind, peaceful, wholesome, noble magic, and not the foul, lethal, harmful kind.
Yes, you have put it quite plain, and rather bluntly.
Forgive me, Your Grace. It has been long since I played the host. I forget the custom.
Okay.
Your spells mean more to me than your manners. Welcome to our ranks, Isbel.
Also blunt, Meve.
Isbel sat in one of their wagons and shut her tired eyes. Her long grey hair seemed to flutter ever so slightly, though there was neither wind nor breeze.
Just because she has some magical abilities, or is there some more foul power source that she's drawing upon that we should be concerned about? Well, achievement unlocked, do no harm. Card acquired. Yes, it is the multiplayer card, but I'm not sure what the Thronebreaker version will do, because, of course, the effects of the cards are different between multiplayer and Thronebreaker. This card has been added to your army, can be found in the command tab. Isbel Healer. The fact that it makes that distinguishment, that she is a healer, perhaps, suggests that there might be other versions of the Isbel card. Might we find some other additional ways to get Isbel's assistance in the future, perhaps? Perhaps? Well, let's claim it. We head in here to do some looting. We can't do some looting? Oh, there's some looting out here to be done. We will absolutely take a look at her card in just a second here. Let's just pick this stuff up, so that way, if we are thinking about upgrades, we can at least get a better sense as to how many resources we have when we do so, because that actually added up to be quite a bit. And that was, of course, an encounter that we had trouble with. We tried many times before, and we were unsuccessful, and then we delayed for quite some time before we went back to it. And just with some deck adjustments, we made it work, and a little bit of luck. Definitely a little bit of luck getting the right combos here. So let's take a look at our tent, because she is in the mess tent, I assume. There she is. What are you doing?
Mom, it's good you're here. We ought to speak.
Ma'am or mom? Those are two different things. Two very different things.
Yes? Concerning what?
I've spent time with your troops, dressing their wounds, treating them. They respect you greatly, would follow you into any fire, any flood.
Good to hear. Also, very quick on the whole healing thing. You've been here for approximately 1 minute.
Happy to hear it. They're good folk, one and all.
Yes, precisely. In fact, too good to die in a senseless war.
Oh? Okay. Might we already be getting Isabel to buy in a little bit more to our cause here against the Nilfgaardians?
Not certain I understand.
Yeah, where are you going with this, Isabel?
The Imperial army's enormous. Just how enormous we know, both. Had you all the Norse kings at your side, victory would still be unsure. Yet you fight alone. Know well you cannot rely on them.
You try to say we gotta form an alliance? Please don't lecture me. Understand me grossly. And the game does not want us to like Isabel, does it? Meve and Isabel. They have it out for each other, it seems. I mean, both of these are either passive-aggressive or borderline outright aggressive. And, like, maybe this one's a little bit more polite? I don't know. It really seems like the game just wants us to be enemies with Isabel. And I can't really understand why. Sure, she's being a little bit stubborn, but it's not like Rayla isn't extremely stubborn as well.
Agreed. Nilfgaard's far better equipped and greatly outnumbers us. Yet, though try, they cannot be everywhere at once. They've stretched their forces thin, too thin. An error I aim to exploit.
Hopefully we can do just that.
You may be right. I hope you are. The lives of those you lead depend on it.
Yeah, the stakes are high.
You're proud, persistent, and sure of yourself. Just as I was at your age. It may work in your favor. Only time can tell.
But back in her day, the Nilfgaardians were just a small little set of villagers, you see.
Meanwhile, how might I help?
Oh. Yeah, I do get the sense you're not exactly the typical sorceress.
You're no village witch, no healer. That much is clear. But nor do you look like our northern sorceresses.
What is your deal exactly?
I use no glamour, true. I've come to feel a body must age, and honestly so, as nature intended, as is the order of things.
Okay.
You sound much like a druid driveling on about balance, harmony, the good that is rot.
I was gonna say that did sound somewhat druid-like.
Rather poor, their reputation, druids. Yet they're in the right in this regard, I believe. Defy nature's laws, and nothing good can come of it.
Okay. Not terrible words to live by, no. Does make sense.
Is that also why you wear no shoes?
I did not notice this.
No. I simply like to feel the grass between my toes, the sand or the mud. You must try it sometime.
Yeah, maybe, but I think it sends the wrong messages, Queen and all.
I shall think on it. Thank you, Isabel.
Alright, well, on that note,
Duty
a little more
calls.
positive.
I must go.
Of course. Should you need me, I'll be here.
Alright. Okay then, so we have gotten Isbel to join the crew. That is very nice, and we got, hold on, a card for her as well, so let's definitely take a look at what her deal is. So Isbel Healer, again, does make you wonder if there might be other versions of her as well. So, let's see. She costs 25? What? That's huge! Okay, boost allies at random by the total damage taken during this battle. Current boost amount, 0. Oh, now that is extremely interesting. The more damage you take, the more she boosts. So, I mean, imagine back in Molderwood, where we had all those Scoia'tael decks that we were going against that had tons and tons of damage, maybe even that encounter with the monsters, all the Neckers and what have you. I think the earlier versions of those types of encounters didn't have much in the way of damage, but the most recent one might have a little more of that. There's at least some damage there, so will this be the key difference maker? This card right here? Perhaps. At 25 recruit cost, it is going to be a little bit tough to squeeze that in, but we do, of course, have over 5,000 gold right now and almost 2,500 in the way of wood. So we were previously talking about making upgrades to our recruit cap, to decreasing the amount of recruit cap cost for units, and it was mostly a theoretical, hey, at some point it'll be useful to have this so that we can more easily include the cards that we want to include. But we didn't really have those cards to put it to any use, at least not in the short term. Now that may have just changed. Now, increasing our recruit cap up to 200 so that we can fit her and make other upgrades to the deck as well, that does all of a sudden look very intriguing. It will, of course, take the vast majority of our resources, but we'd still have about almost 800 gold remaining, which is enough to at least craft a few cards if we find that if we want to go and try to do that monsters encounter that we tried previously next, then we have some ability to craft new cards. Decent ability to craft new cards there still, I think. So, you know what? I think we do it. I think we do it. So that's big. That is a huge investment, of course, but it does mean that we can now not only put her into the deck, but we can also make other upgrades as well. 25 is still so huge. But, I mean, and now we have enough room for her and many other upgrades. Not sure if we're necessarily going to try to optimize our deck and make all those changes right now, but we'll at least get Isbel in there, and since we're now would have been at 26, get rid of one of the Lyria and Rivia, because I think that is, outside of the encounter we just did, one of, if not, our weakest cards. Then there is still one more thing here. We got an update from the Royal Tent, some kind of report. King Demvin's orders? Is this from completing that encounter just then? From His Loyal Highness Demvin, King of Edirn. Lord of Dolblathana. To all garrisons in Lower Edirn, your orders are as follows. Abandon border forts at once and make haste to Aldersburg. Massive reinforcements necessary. The enemy prepares to launch a siege. Okay, so the Nilfgaardians we've seen thus far have just been the little remnants of the Nilfgaardian forces, whereas the main force has been, it seems, setting up a siege on Aldersburg, the primary place that we're trying to get to, which explains what we might expect to run into once we get there. Suppose probably not much of a surprise, but other than that, also explains why there's so little in the way of Edirnian forces to help protect these other villages that we've come across now. Oh, did these tents show up after we just made that upgrade to our soldiers' quarters? If so, then that's a cool little touch. Like, maybe we got those when we did the first one as well. I think it was. I think that is what caused it. That's very cool. So we can actually make this little campsite look a little more, well, significant, a little more capable of taking on the Nilfgaardians as we continue to make those types of upgrades. Very cool. Alright, so very pleased to finally complete that encounter. It was looming overhead for a while there. I was concerned that we just might not have had the tools to get the job done, but we did finally succeed. And now, with a very powerful card added to our deck, that might be just what we need to proceed even further. So this will be a good place for us to wrap up here. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.